Hello, guys, and welcome back. We are going to be talking about American
And British.
culture.
Well, that's a bit of an oxymoron.
Show me.
Okay, guys, welcome back. So my name is Phil,
And I'm Michael.
and you're watching the IELTS Grind.
Remember to like and subscribe.
Yeah. So we're all about teaching you how to pass the IELTS, but we also want to help prepare you to go on and study abroad, live abroad, and doing whatever you're doing. Perhaps you might choose to go to the States or to the UK. So
You didn't see anything.
So today we're going to be talking about a few sort of cultural topics and how the average American and the average Brit might sort of react to those situations.
And first up, we're going to be talking about study habits, specifically going through elementary school, high school, college, and then work.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So, first of all, American elementary school is usually like it's like the students, the children, they have math and science and things that they need to learn, but it's pretty laid back. Like there are a few standardized tests, but they're not overly difficult. Like the SOL for Virginia, I don't remember that ever being really difficult in elementary school. Like most people did okay there. And that being said, like elementary school children aren't pushed to study hard in elementary school. They need to learn, they need to do what their teachers say, but there's not this constant pressure on them to keep doing better.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much the same in the UK, although we quit primary school, which is the sort of age 5 or 6 into 11. You go to one school normally. And we do have at least one test, which is normally in year 6, which is the final year before you go on to big school, as we would call it. And you're right, there's not this massive amount of pressure, but you are obviously encouraged to improve, and your progress is sort of measured as you go through this school.
There also aren't too many extracurriculars for children in America. Like occasionally they'll go to piano practice or like violin or have like a soccer little league or baseball little league,
Yeah.
but it's not all the time. It's like most of the time when you come home from school, you play. You go and play with your
Yeah,
friends
yeah,
outside, or if you're a computer gamer, you play computer games or watch
yeah.
TV. And usually you get off school at about 2.
Yeah, I think now my school days are a little bit further back than yours, not by much, but I remember being home in time to watch my favourite soap, which was Neighbours, which if any of you going to Australia, Neighbours is a famous soap about an Australian street called Ramsay Street, and that was on around 4 o'clock, and I was definitely home in time to watch that.
You watched soap operas as a child?
Yeah, when I was sort of like 11, something like that.
By the way, soap operas are a specific genre of television that a specific TV program or TV show that is usually made for middle-aged housewives who are left at home with nothing much to do. It's usually in the afternoon before prime time. They usually air between 4 and 6 or 2 and 4.
I don't know what to tell you. I was a very mature child. Perhaps I also watched cartoons as well. But
Yeah, I watched Pokemon. Like
oh, okay.
that was I had an hour of TV from my parents and 30 minutes of that was always Pokemon.
Okay.
And it was also on at 4. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that. Yeah.
But this is very different because we also have the same thing of if you're going to do after school clubs, sorry, it would be sports or music. I certainly played cricket, or I learned to play guitar, something like that. But talking to my wife, who's from Taiwan, I had no time,
Yeah.
zero time.
Like they have so many things they have to do all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Which I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but it's just very different. That's the point we're making, I think.
it gives a lot of English teachers jobs.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's true.
Not us. We lucked out. We get to teach self-motivated adults, but like 80% of the foreigners out here teach kids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
because of this push to have them go to bushibans or
Mm.
cram school, which isn't really a thing in the States. It's becoming more of a thing,
I,
but it's not a huge thing.
yeah, when I first came here and people were talking about cram school, I just thought it was a mistake. I'm like, that's not a thing. That's not what we say in English. But apparently, it's a new phenomenon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
That brings us to teenagers.
yes, so in the UK we would say secondary school,
Hmm.
whereas I think you have middle school and high school. Is that how it works?
Well, I actually went to a secondary school, which
Oh,
means it's middle and high school in one school
yeah, yeah,
building.
that's the same
Yes.
system that we have.
But you're right. They are often segregated.
Yeah.
There's elementary school, which can go from 1 to 5th or 1 to 6th.
Mhm.
And then middle school is usually between 7 and 8 or 7 to 9. And then high school is usually 9 to 12.
Yeah,
And
so
those are all grades, by the way. We call them first, second, third, fourth grade. First grade, second grade. Not
yeah, we call
grade
it
1.
no, no,
Ugh,
no.
weird.
So we call it year. So if you go to secondary school, you're about 11 years old. You'd go into year 7, and you'd follow through until you're about 16. You'd be in year 11, and then if you chose to stay at school, you could go into the sixth form, which you'd be year 12 and year 13.
It's not compulsory. You don't have to
No,
be in
no,
school for 12th grade.
no, no. So from the age of 16 in the UK, you can choose to go down a vocational path. You can become, I don't know, mechanic or something like this.
We call those trade schools.
Hmm.
Yep.
And then if you want to, you can go on and do 2 more years of school, which is kind of taking you towards the
It's preparing you
academic
for
for
university, right?
university. Yeah, yeah.
And by the way, how hard do you have to study in high school, especially if you're going towards university?
Well, I went to university, so not very hard. Well, it's kind of it's a
Old
little
and lazy.
yeah, it's a little bit different. So the major two exams you would take in the UK, one when you're about 16, which is year 11. It's called the GCSEs, which is a general certificate in secondary education, and you take that in a wide range of subjects. I think I took 9 or 10, including maths and English, and that's graded A star to E, and I did pretty well. Did pretty well. I was always a sort of without even trying, I was always a C average kind of student, and if when I did actually try, I normally got A's, but you know, I didn't like all of my teachers, but even without studying, just I passed easily. And then if you choose to stay for the 2 more years of school, you do what are called A levels. Now things change very quickly in the UK, but when I was there, the first year was called the AS levels, and the last year was called A levels. I think it stands for advanced. And you generally do fewer subjects. I did 3. I think
Whoa.
5 would be quite a lot. So I did history, geography, and religious studies for some crazy reason.
How long were you in school on those days in your last year?
Um, I would say probably 3 to 4 hours each day.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It depends. We had lots of free periods.
Oh my goodness, we have like no free periods.
Oh,
Like it's an option in America, but most people take a full load of classes up until 12th grade in high school. Like you're there just as long as everyone else.
yeah.
Like that's so weird.
But
Like
I think it's because we're like the university, the way that we do university in the UK compared to the States, it's a little bit more focused on one topic, and you only need to get a certain amount of points to go to university. So, you know, taking 3 or 4 subjects and focusing on those, I think that's the
did you
way.
really focus on them though, or did you
Uh,
have a lot of free time and use it
no,
irresponsibly?
I believe I walked out with an A in geography, a B in history, but a D in religious studies. I didn't like my teacher; she was terrible. But no, I did well. But I was a kid. I mean,
But that's what I'm saying. Did you, with all those free periods that you had, did you actually study for your courses, or were you just using them as a free period to talk with your friends, hang out, read for
oh,
fun?
I discovered a brilliant game called Worms. We wasted a
I
lot.
know that game.
We wasted a lot of time. Yeah.
See, in the States, like, so it is compulsory to go to high school, but I do believe that you don't need to stay all 4 years. You can, it's called dropping out. It's not looked on particularly fondly if you do. But like, America is a big place. Like, there are certain areas that have more people go on to college and universities and some that don't. And there's actually, I'm glad you brought up trade schools, because there's a little bit of a stigma there in the States where,
Okay.
like, it's seen as not a particularly good occupation to go into, which is stupid, because you don't have a bunch of debt and you start making money
Oh
immediately,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you can make a lot of money. Like,
Be a plumber or
be a
something like that.
plumber or an
Brilliant, yeah.
electrician, like, they're good jobs to
Oh,
have.
brilliant, yeah.
Like, that's one of the reasons why Germany had such a strong economy, was
Oh.
because of the fact that they didn't stigmatize trade school. It was seen as a respectable path that you could go into,
France
which
is
gave them a bunch of technicians.
France is very much the same thing. The only thing is, in France, you have to kind of start quite young. About I think about 14, you make a
Whoa,
choice of where you're going
that's
to.
super young.
Yeah, yeah, and then they have things. I think it's like the lycée scientifique, that kind of thing, lycée professionnel, and you kind of go in the direction that you want to. I thought it was a really good system
Yeah,
because for someone who doesn't like to study, it gives them a job.
yeah.
Whereas a lot of people in the UK go onto university and do nonsense degrees.
Enjoy Poets Day.
I had one of my friends from school was seriously considering going to university to study David Beckham studies. David Beckham, if you don't know, is a famous footballer, and he was going to do a complete 3-year degree about David Beckham.
That sounds ridiculous.
Why? Yeah, so
Was there a lot of drinking as part of that degree?
I have no idea. So how does it work with university?
Well, first of all, you have to get into university. And I had a very different experience in high school. I easily blew through my classes with mostly A's.
Yeah.
And so I had a very strong.
That's why you were laughing earlier.
I can feel superior for once. For once. But so you have to apply to universities, and it's a very cutthroat process. Like, a lot of people want to go to the same universities. If there's any of you now who are taking the IELTS exam to go to university, specifically undergrad, you probably feel this pain. Like, you have a certain number of schools that you apply to, you're trying to get into, you have, the school that you really went to, and then maybe a safety school in case you do get into that one. And to apply, they're looking for very well-rounded individuals, and what that means is that you have a lot of interests. Okay, so I had a great GPA, and then I also did really well on the SAT, which is a standardized test. Now, there are two standardized tests that you can choose from to apply to college. The first one is the SAT, and the second one is the ACT. They use different scoring systems, but
Okay.
they're just testing your ability to take tests, really. And then if you do well on those two, that gives you a really strong application to go to the college you want to. However, they also look for if you have extracurriculars. I was the president of the chess club,
Geek.
one of three. I was the president of the chess club, one of three, and I did taekwondo as well through high
Oh,
school.
I used to do
Yes.
judo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have, if we have 100,000 likes on this video, we will have a showdown.
Yeah, I'll do a good Ogoshi throw. I
And
still remember.
I'll try to remember what I learned in taekwondo all those years ago. Yeah, so I was a pretty strong candidate, and because of that, I went to Virginia Tech. And if you don't know, this is actually a pretty prestigious school. It's a public school, which is different from the UK. Public school means a state university.
Whereas in the UK, a public school is a secondary school, but it's actually one that you have to pay to go to, which is private.
We call those private schools. It's a
Yeah,
lot easier.
like Eton,
Yes.
Harrow, things like that. Yeah.
Yes. And so I went to Virginia Tech. It was the #1 architecture school in the nation when I first went there. That was the program I wanted to get into. I didn't. And then they also had a really good engineering and business school. And then they were also, for all the years I was there except for one, the #1 university for food.
For food?
in the nation. The best food in the nation.
Like, you had a good canteen?
Yeah, we had a bunch of them. I was very fat. I'll show you pictures if we have 5,000 likes. But but yeah, so I got into this really great school. However, in America, and I think in the West in general, your education in college is very much dictated by you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there aren't going to be people pushing you. When I was in high school, I was a great student because I had my parents and my teachers pushing me to do well. When I had freedom in college,
Yeah.
I made a lot of dumb decisions.
It's very much the same in the UK. So when I went to university, so my first year was 2007, and in the UK at the time it was a 3-year course. I actually studied history because I liked history, but not a very vocational subject, we could say. And the first year, in fact, all you had to do was pass the first year to get 40% of in the exam at the end of the year, and it didn't actually count towards the last degree, like the final degree mark. I mean, so I did a lot of studying in the first year, and I got a very good grade, and then just over time, lost the motivation. I only had 4 contact hours a week.
That's crazy.
And the rest
so
of the time
that's
was in the
4
night.
class hours.
Yeah, 4 hours a week, and the rest of the time was reading and studying on my own.
Which you did.
Which I did to a certain degree, but I have to admit, in the final year, it would have been better to have a bit of a push.
Yeah, I have so much regret as well. Like, when I tell people now, I really push people to try to work for a year after high school. Like, you can defer. Most people don't know this. If you apply to a university and then you get accepted, you can defer that for a year or two and then still go to the school but do things in between. And I really recommend people go and get jobs during that time to, like, kind of grow up, pay bills, realize what you would be doing if you don't do well in college and university.
That is good advice.
Yeah.
Very good advice. Because I have always said this. If I went back to university today, in my 30s, I would do so much better than I did when I was 18.
You'd work hard because you realize how valuable it is.
Yeah, and it was, just, I think that's a difference perhaps with the Western approach to university and other cultures. Yeah.
Yeah, like when I was teaching at university in China, I was talking to students about this, and they were shocked that, in high school it wasn't too difficult. There was pressure, but there wasn't too much pressure, unless you wanted to go to, like, the best schools in the country. And then in college, that's when you really need to work hard in the West. Because they were telling me in China, it's reversed. You work really hard in high school to get into the best university you can. And then they said, life is a lot easier. Like, you work hard, you get into the school, and then you're pretty much set.
Which is a shame.
Yeah. So when you go to university in the West, it's going to be tough. And
if you're the sort of person that only does what you're told, then you may need to come up with a plan of action to make the most of the opportunity.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. That's university. By the way, my university undergrad is what we call it. College is another word. You wouldn't call it college. You only call it uni, right?
Yeah. So in British English, college is actually what you would call a trade school.
Oh.
So you would go to a college from the age of 16 to 18 to do the A level, the advanced levels. You could do the same exam in a secondary school or college, or you would go there to learn some sort of skill, or as an adult you would go to a college for evening classes. Yeah.
So in America it's a little confusing because we use college and university synonymously, as we can replace them with each other. But within a university you have many different colleges, and these are like departments, like the College of History. Yeah.
We always have, but in Oxford, Cambridge, those kind of universities, you would have different colleges which are in their own little environment. They perhaps have a particular focus. But what you're referring to in an average university would be a department or faculty.
Yes. We have the same word as there for
Yeah.
there as well. But college in America is usually 4 years. If you work really hard, you can sometimes do it in 3, especially if you took AP classes in high school. But most of the time it's 4, and in fact, there's so many people that the average is starting to be pushed to 5 years. I actually
For just
for undergrad.
a bachelor
Yeah,
undergraduate degree.
for a
Oh,
bachelor's degree.
that's
That's
interesting
exactly right.
because I managed to do my bachelor degree in 2 years.
Super smart.
But that was one year of just practice, and then 2 years of the rule. That's interesting. Which is an issue of cost. Yeah. So,
Yes.
but that is a topic for a completely different video, I think.
Okay.
Okay. So, here's the thing. What we're talking about is just the difference in the work ethic, work ethic, and sort of how perhaps you would feel if you're going to a different type of university system, especially if you aren't from a Western culture. So our advice really is to make sure that you're the sort of person that will work hard, and if you're not, come up with an action plan.
Yep. And that's it for today. If you like these videos, please let us know in the comments down below. If there's a particular topic you would like us to address, again, leave a comment down below. It was great to see you guys, and I hope you found this interesting. This has been Michael.
And I'm Phil. Now, Michael told you which university he went to. I didn't say which university I went to. Can you guess? Leave us a comment and we'll tell you if you're right. Okay, we'll see you next time in the next video. See you later.
Peace.